Chapter 5 Southern Sumatra. Archaeology and Art of Sumatra by Robert Heine-Geldern. Stone Age Diluvial human skeletal remains having been found in Java. It stands to reason that Sumatra too must have been populated by human beings as early as the Pleistocene period. However, no human remains, either artifacts or bones, recognizable as belonging to this period, having been found as yet in Sumatra. At present moment, it seems quite impossible to ascertain the real age of any Paleolithic find made in this island, and it is not very probable that any of them date further back than the beginning of the alluvium. Therefore, I wish to call attention to the fact that I shall use the term Paleolithic in connection with the ancient cultures of Sumatra only as denoting a cultural type, and not as implying a fixed time period. Though our present knowledge of prehistoric Sumatra is rather scanty, we may discern two very different Paleolithic cultures, a flake culture and a hand axe culture. Until now, traces of the flake culture have only been discovered in two sites in central Sumatra. In a cave Uluchanko in Upper Jambi, the Swiss geologist at Etobler found amidst cells of land and freshwater snails, both of which have served as food, knife beds, and knife beds, points, scraper-like instruments made of obsidian. Figure 57. G. Swierczewski found similar remains in another cave of the same territory, but here, beside obsidian, other kinds of stone had been used. The accounts of this, the accounts of the discoverers, however, yield no clue as to the age of these cultures. They may be related to the flake cultures of Ceylon and of the caves of Lampong in southwest Celebes, and belong probably to the latest Paleolithic age. Some remnants of human bones were found in the cave of Uluchanko. They belong to a delicately built race, probably of Bedouin origin. We are far better informed about the hand axe culture. Its traces were found in the shell heaps in the northern part of the east coast, in the neighborhood of Medan Seruai, and in numerous spots scattered throughout the same territory and the hills beyond, as well as in the eastern parts of Aceh, near Mentawei and Langsar. The seal, the shell heaps have a diameter from 30 to 60 meters and are from 4 to 5 meters in height. They consist for the greater part of marine mussel and snail shells. No doubt the mounds originated in the immediate neighborhood of the sea coast. Today, however, due to the elevation of the land, they are in part from 10 to 20 kilometers distant from the sea, besides shells and numerous stone tools. They contain bones of game animals, which were broken so as to render easy the extraction of the marrow. The stone tools are roughly hewn and bear more or less the character of hand axes, though differing from the typical old Paleolithic hand axes of Europe and India by being rocked almost with the exception on one side only, whereas the reverse zone shows the untouched natural rounds of rubbles. Figure 58. The materials used were quartzite, sandstone, and different igneous stones such as andesite and others. There is a great variety of form. One can discern peaks, those of an oval or almond shape, short disc-like stones, long-shaped ones, and others resembling laurel leaves in form. Some of them have straight-line cut-off necks similar to the hedges cortes of the Huabin Hien of northeastern Indochina. There are great quantities of rock striking stones, ponders, flat bowl shaped grinding stones, and rattles. And rattle. Schurman, from geological considerations, came to the conclusion that the shell heaps of northeast Sumatra date from early alluvial times. This theory is borne out by the cultural position of the remains concealed. The hand axe culture of Sumatra is doubtlessly related to the Hoan bin Hen, an early Baxonian of northeastern Indochina, and the hand axe culture of Siam in the Malay Peninsula. Early traces of Neolithic influence constantly appear in the middle period of all these cultures, in the form of rough hewn tools with ground axes and of rubber axes, which are simple river pebbles ground to an edge of one side without being touched in any other respect. It is evident therefore that all of these hand axe cultures of further India can only belong to the final phases of the Paleolithic age. During Sumatra, the predominant part of hand axe culture shows no traces of Neolithic. Nevertheless, sporadic proto-Neolithic tools with rough ground edges, have also been found recently in that country. Unfortunately, the human osseous remains found in the shell heaps are of too fragmentary a nature to be of any help in ascertaining the rest of the people to whom they belong. But considering the analogy of hand axe cultures of Indochina and the Malay Peninsula, it seems very probable that the bearers of the Sumatra hand axe culture also belong to the group of Papua Melanesia races. We are not as yet able to decide whether the two Paleolithic cultures of Sumatra, the hand axe culture brought probably by Papua Melanesoids and the flake culture introduced probably by people of Inuit origin, existed side by side on the island or whether they succeeded one another, and if so, in which order. We may assume that there were still older Paleolithic cultures in Sumatra, but until now, no remnants of them have been discovered. Neither, as, neither are we able as yet to distinguish by archaeological methods by the primitive Malaysian stratum, so obviously present in the Kubu, Sakai, and some other tribes. It may be possible, though not yet probable, that these primitive Malaysian peoples were the transmitters of the aforementioned proto-Neolithic elements. The fact that people with a very primitive agricultural civilization are still living on the islands surrounding Sumatra, the Nicobars, Mentawei Islands, and Enggano permits us to presume that early Neolithic cultures must have existed on the mainland of Sumatra. Archaeological traces of this have not yet been discovered. We reach firm ground only when dealing with a late Neolithic culture whose most characteristic feature are different forms of edges with four-cornered sections, frequent pillar, quadrangular edges, figure 60. This culture probably came to the Malay Peninsula in Indonesia by way of China and Central Indochina, Laos, and Siam between 2000 and 1500 BC. Its bearers introduced to Indonesia the Austronesian languages, the outrigger canoe, rice cultivation, domesticated cattle or buffaloes, head hunting, the custom of erecting megalithic monuments. Big edges belong to this culture as well as four-cornered ones, figure 59. Their gradual development can be traced archaeologically along the trail of the Austronesian migration from Upper Laos through the Malay Peninsula to Indonesia. Both the quadrangular as well as the big edges of Sumatra are very similar to those of Java. The Neolithic cultures of both islands show the same preference for semi-precious stones and colored variety of silex, and the same wonderful perfection of stone cutting. Some of these edge blades are real work of art, not only in the close relationship between the Sumatran quadrangular edge culture, vacant by culture, and the Javanese branch of this culture revealed thereby, but we can also perceive the high degree of craftsmanship and the keen sense of beauty possessed by the Malayan population of Sumatra in the late Neolithic period.